that you haven't, I'm Phil O'Neill. I've been living here in Lexington 25 years almost, I think. Moved here from California. Before that, I lived in England, so you can probably tell I'm from way back east. And the reason I got interested in Tech Night was Brookie said just did it was a one-off just to do a presentation on taxes, and I kind of stuck around. And then because I've got an interest in security, because I've got a wife and kids, they really should know better than to do some of the things that they do on the internet. Could say that for all of us, I think. And so getting to secure your internet accounts is something that was a kind of a priority for me. So I'm kind of self-taught on this, but I've been trying to stay ahead of what's available and make use of it. And that evolved into a class that we've run twice now. And we're also going to be doing one of the workshops that's later this year that is going to concentrate on how to get into government websites. So you've got things like the State Department, so you can apply for passports. You've got your Social Security accounts. You can have an IRS account. And that's the kind of thing that you really do not want anybody that shouldn't be in there getting in there. So that workshop will be devoted to how to authenticate to get into those government sites. And they go a little bit above and beyond what we're going to talk about this evening. It's pretty rigorous, but it's good stuff. So when we open up the registration, I hope you'll flood it and we'll have to run it again in the future twice. So, right. So that's my little spiel about myself. And tonight we're going to be talking about it's kind of the history of cybersecurity and where things are going, where the trends are, and what we should be doing to stay abreast of all of the things that we need to keep our information secure. So the first question is, well, why bother? Why do we need internet security? And first of all, safeguard your privacy. I mean, do you really want somebody else reading your emails, whatever they may have in them, however dull or interesting they may be? You really don't want anybody else getting in there that you don't want to. And finances, we need to safeguard our money. There isn't a week goes by, I don't read an article on the internet about some other scam where some poor soul has been completely bamboozled and they've sent someone a ton of money because they're going to buy a retirement property in Mexico, or I don't know, the old Nigerian prince's little sister's been sending emails. There's lots of scams out there, and really need to stay away from those and make sure people can't go raiding your bank accounts. So, but there's not only bank accounts, there's also your retirement savings. You've probably got more in there than you do in your checking accounts. So that needs to be off limits to everybody else. And also Social Security. I've heard stories of people being hacked. They've changed the banking information and people are saying, where's my Social Security check? Because it's gone to somebody else's account. And getting it back is an ordeal, if at all possible. And then safeguarding your identity. You've probably heard of identity theft too in the news. That's getting to be more and more common. And that can be a real pain too. So if someone steals your identity, they can steal the money you haven't got, which kind of seems like a nonsense, but it's actually a big problem because if someone's got your identity, they can open accounts in your name. So they can take out credit cards, they can take out loans, they can file bogus tax returns and claim a big refund. And because those are all in your name with what is nominally accurate information used to set it all up, the punchline is you've got to prove it wasn't you. The burden is on you to prove it wasn't you. You can't just say, it wasn't me, and they say, okay, not that easy. So another reason that we really don't want people going in and taking out accounts in your name. So you need to secure your identity as well. So first things,
Question
certainly.
on your previous slide there. Can't you cut a lot of that out by just freezing your credit?
Yes, you can. Very good point. Thank you. There are 3 credit reporting bureaus, and you can open up an account with each of them and tell them to freeze your accounts so that nobody, including you, can open up new credit accounts unless you unfreeze the account temporarily, let the account go through, and then it will freeze again to stop anybody else doing that. So, yes, Mike.
You're married and you open an account for yourself, you have to open another one for your spouse.
Yes, very good point. The point there was if you've got 2 individuals, a married couple, you each need to have a freeze on both of your accounts because it goes by your social security number. It's not, because you're married, it doesn't carry over to your spouse automatically. You have to put that freeze on both of your social security numbers. So thank you, Mike. Good point. Okay. So if we go back to password basics, long time ago in the Game of Thrones days, what you had was called a watchword. And if you wanted to keep somebody out of your campsite, you had a word that if you didn't know it, they'd stab you with a spear. If you knew the word, you were good, but anybody that knew it would be allowed in. So you had to tell the watchword to a sentry for them to let you in. And today it's more used in conjunction with a username on an internet account. So it's the combination of a username and password that will get you into whatever your Google account is or your bank account and more, but we'll come back to that. So if you have to have a password, then it should probably be something that's not easy to guess. It's a little bit depressing, but the number of times you'll see a computer, when you look on the bottom of the laptop or on the underside of a keyboard, there's a little yellow sticky pad with a password written down in it. And it's taped on so it won't fall off. So that password's not going anywhere. I think we've all probably done something similar, and we can laugh about it, but it's really not a good idea. So the best practice used to be use something that's hard to guess and not in a dictionary. Because these days, someone that's trying to get into an account, they can go through the whole dictionary in seconds and try and find out if you've got something like password is your password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is your password, or if you want to be even better than that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's all kinds of comedy sketches on YouTube about changing your password. So if you want to giggle, go and watch some of those. But there's a germ of truth in each of them that we really shouldn't have easy to guess passwords. As I was talking about previous best practices, and they said to change your password often, but nobody ever did, me included. That little yellow sticky pad on the underside of your keyboard isn't going anywhere. Even if you line out the password and come up with a new one, it's still there. And you still have to change it every so often. It was a chore, didn't get done. So best practices now have changed, and the advice that you'll get is to use a random password, so not in a dictionary, not some combination of words, 8 or more characters, preferably 12 to 16 or more. And the reasoning behind that is, let's think about the math that's involved. If you've got 26 characters in the letter, in the alphabet, then if you look at uppercase characters too, you just doubled it. So you've got 52 characters. You've got 10 numbers. So now you've got 62 possible characters. You add in your special characters, you've got 72. So for each character, you've got 72 possibilities. So you would have, if you've got 12 characters, you've got 12 to the power of 72, which is a really, really, really big number that a computer would take thousands of years to go through trying to guess them if it just went through them systematically. So that's the logic behind having random long passwords because computers they're just not fast enough to guess them. They just can't go that fast. But because they are difficult to remember and random, you're never going to keep them in your head. And even if you do have them on that little yellow sticky pad under your keyboard, you've still got to type it out. You've got to transcribe it accurately. And chances are you're going to make a mistake. So you have to do it over. And lots of websites, 3 strikes, and you're on a timeout before you can try again. And that's why we use password manager software. And that's something we'll come back to in a moment. But it's very powerful and it's very common on Apple devices, Windows devices. There are programs you can buy. There are programs that are free. There's a lot of options there, but they're all geared towards using random and complex passwords that you won't be able to remember as a person. And so we don't reuse passwords. Years and years ago, it became pretty obvious that a lot of the people that were getting into people's accounts, people say, oh yeah, well, there's nothing important in my Netflix account, but if you've got your email address and the password and someone can guess it, or they see it written down somewhere or get it some other way, there's a very good chance you're going to use that username and password someplace else, including your bank. So just because there's nothing important in your Netflix account, if somebody gets that username and password, they'll try it on Chase Bank, Bank of America, Fifth Third, all the financial institutions they can find. They'll just go through all of them thinking, well, maybe I'll get in. And lots of times they do. So even if you don't use a password that's in manager software, even if it's not that long or that complex, please make sure that each of your bank accounts, retirement accounts, they all have a password that's not used anywhere else. And I'll tell you that for free. So password managers, most computers today come with one. Apple has got one that talks between all the devices, Mac, iPhone, iPad. Windows has them available. And it's also available in some of the web browsers. They have password managers built in. So if you've got Firefox or Chrome on your computer, let's say you've got a Chromebook and you also use Chrome on a MacBook, those two can talk to each other and synchronize the information to make sure that no matter which device you're using, you've got up to the moment information on what your current passwords are. Apple's password app comes on, I mentioned, Macs, iPhones, iPads. This can create passwords for you automatically, just in different formats, but it basically suggests them, stores them, and every time you go back to that same website, it will volunteer the username and password for you. So there's no remembering you need to do. And you may have also heard of scammers out there. They'll send you a link with something that looks a lot like a legit link to a website, but there'll be some dot in the wrong place or something misspelled. And if you click on it, because your password manager doesn't recognize the website, it won't volunteer a password for you. So that's another security feature that you get from using password managers. Not just you click on a link and it fills in something and whoever's behind it goes, oh, good, he got one. So it will keep them away from that by only filling in credentials for legitimate websites that you yourself have stored in the past. And it will also keep your passwords synchronized across your different devices. I said the same thing in the previous slide about web browsers. They will do that for you also. And in the Apple world, that's called the iCloud keychain. Keychain being where you keep all your keys. So after passwords, we've talked about a little, where if somebody gets your password and username, that's one step towards getting into one of your accounts, but they're not all the way there yet. We also have what's called multi-factor authentication, which means you've got to take 2 or more steps to get into an account. And in general, the different factors are, it's something we know, which would be a username and password. There's something that we have, a physical device that you have in your possession, a laptop, a tablet, a phone, something like that. And it's something that we are, which will lead us to a biometric. You've got your thumbprints, you've got your Face ID. The device can actually recognize you and unlock all your passwords, but after you get past that hurdle. So remember those 3 things. We'll come back and talk about them some more. Now, in its simplest form, multi-factor is just called 2-factor, which is something that you'll probably see more on websites when you're setting it up. And it's abbreviated to 2FA, so 2-factor authentication. The first one is your username and password. And then the second one is, the most common one is a text message that will have sent to you. Could also be an email. Or you can also have pieces of software called authenticator apps that you can run on your laptop or your phone or your tablet that will generate those codes for you, so you don't have to wait for something to come over the phone network for you to get in. Lots of these are text message based, and that is the most common that most people use day to day. Most websites will support it, amongst other things, and some will require some sort of 2-factor authentication. Hopefully, your financial institutions will. They won't just let you put in a username and password and then you're off to the races, or somebody's off to the races. We don't want that to be too easy to get into. So they'll require it, but like I said, it doesn't have to be message based. It can be based on a piece of software that you've got on your phone or on your laptop. And those pieces of software are called authenticator apps. And these will replace the text messages that you use to get into your account. They're generated by a piece of software that's on your device. Google has one. It's actually very good. I use it as a backup to some of my other software features called Google Authenticator. It's a one-trick pony. All it does is generate these codes for you, but it will do them for any different account that you want to set up. It's very good. I do recommend it. And another example is built into the Mac and the other Apple devices. There's an authenticator built in where it will generate those codes for you as part of the Passwords app. And because of the way Apple devices work, when you go to a website that's waiting for a code, if you've told it you're going to generate one, it will actually pop up on your tablet screen or your phone screen, and then you can just tap it and it will fill it in for you and gets you right in by, telling the website what it wants to hear. So now something to remember about these, it's one or the other. You are either going to use a text code that is sent to you over the phone network, or you're going to generate your own. You pick one and generally stick with that one. Some of the more sophisticated websites will allow you to choose on a case-by-case basis if you want one or the other each time. But for the most part, most websites will tell you, we need a code, we can send it to you, or come up with your own. Pick one and we'll stick with it. So it does simplify things, but in general, as a general rule, you can't have both. You just pick one and then you use it. If you're unhappy with it, you can change it later, but then that choice is sticky and it will stay with you for until you decide to change it again. So to generate these codes, and this is where we go a little bit into the weeds, it's called, the abbreviation is TOTP, and it's a time-based one-time passcode. And it's time-based because they have a very short life. Whenever you get one of these codes from a website, it'll probably have a little asterisk saying, this is good for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before it expires. If you run out of time, we'll send you another one, a different one. If you have your Authenticator app generating it, they're usually good for about 30 seconds because it can keep them coming quick and easy on your device. You just need to make sure you get it to your website within that 30 seconds, which is actually quite a long time if it's the only thing you're waiting for. Okay. And it's a standard algorithm used by most of the Authenticator apps. I mentioned that they will expire after a preset time. And this is what they don't tell you whenever someone's trying to get you to use their app is, if you set them up the same, they will all give you the same code. Now, there are other features in some of these apps that could differentiate between them, but if all you're looking for is that one code, any of these apps will do as long as it's time-based. So here's how they work. So if you want to write that down, no, never mind. It's clever stuff. They've got lots of highly paid software engineers working on this stuff, and they earn their pay, and that's what they came up with. But it basically tells you that there's an algorithm that each of these apps all use, and they will give you the same result every time, as long as you set them up the same. So here's a couple of examples. This one is a quick screenshot. If you look at the second one down, it's for Amazon. And the code there is 883206. And following on, this is Google Authenticator. You'll see for Amazon, 883206. They both give you the same code. Either one of those would work. You just tap it into the Amazon window when it wants you to give it the code. And next thing you know, you're back doing your shopping because Amazon likes it, lets you write in. Now, the next thing to talk about is keeping all of these things in step. If we have different devices and they're all going to generate the same code, how do you make sure that happens? If you've got an Apple device and a Google app and you set them up, that's fine. They'll use cloud features like Google's Gmail accounts. If you log into one of them, it will synchronize Google Authenticator across all your devices. Apple will use the iCloud keychain that I mentioned earlier to synchronize across all of your Apple devices. And there's also a Windows extension. We haven't talked about Windows at all yet today, mostly Apple and Google. If you have a Windows laptop, there is a piece of software from Apple that you can use that will allow you to keep all of your passwords, codes, all of those things that we've talked about already on a Windows laptop, and it will use them automatically to pre-fill your credentials when you're going into a website on a Windows laptop. So that helps keep everything in step, no matter what platform you're using. Apple, Windows, Google. There isn't a solution from either Apple, Google, or Microsoft that spans all of those, but there are solutions out there from other software companies that will do that. They're unfortunately not usually free, but if you want something that's going to work on every possible type of device, that could be something to look into as well. Got a little bit ahead of myself, but Google will sync across everything that's using the same Gmail account. So if you're on a desktop and you've got a Chrome browser, it will sync across all of those. And mobile apps like the Authenticator, it will sync across all of those. Android has it built into the operating system because that's a Google product. They also have iOS and iPad apps that you can download to get to the same functionality on your Apple devices using Google software. So there's a lot of interplay between the different software companies that let you get to all of the same information and the same codes so you can get into all of your accounts no matter what kind of device you might be using. And that's getting to be more and more important. We mentioned the cybersecurity class that we ran. We had a real mix of hardware when we did that class. We had people with quite a few with iPhones, a couple of Macs, some Windows laptops, some iPads, some Android phones. And it was a little bit of a struggle trying to get everything for everybody working. We got there in the end, but it just goes to show that having a cross-platform environment can be very, very important. And it's something that we're seeing more of a need because you never know what kind of phone someone's going to have, what kind of laptop they're going to have, or their desktop at home. So it's hard to give answers if you don't know what you're working with. So that's why we're going to be looking at cross-platform solutions as best we can. So moving on from Authenticator, Authenticator apps, next up is we've got biometrics. If you go back to what we said about the different authentication factors, this is the one that's something that we are. Your thumbprint, your face. I've even had people say, trying to be clever, I think, what if you use your toes? Knock yourself out. You want to take your socks off to get into your phone? That's up to you. Not technically impossible, but that's up to you. So I said, this is the something that you are that we use for verification. And it's Face ID, Touch ID, so fingerprints and face scanning is generally what we mean by biometrics. Older devices you can get by if you have a PIN code, but those are getting to be fewer and fewer these days. But it was allowed just so that you wouldn't get locked out of up-to-date security features just because your laptop or your phone was so old it didn't have a face scanner or a thumb thing, especially with laptops. There's a lot of older laptops out there still that people are still using. We don't want people locked out of security just because they haven't got the latest, greatest Lenovo or MacBook or whatever it might be. And there's also quite a bit that's misunderstood about biometrics. So these scans, be it thumb or face scans, they only verify your identity on your device. Nothing goes across the internet into a website based on your thumbprints or your face scan. And it's only used to unlock the password store that's on your device. So if I've got all my usernames and passwords in a little data file on my computer, I can use my thumbprint to unlock that file, but it doesn't send anything over the internet based on the thumbprints or the face. And that does not leave your device. It only unlocks your device and allows it to send other information over the internet, which is your usernames and passwords. So it's not the biometrics that unlock your accounts. The passwords and passkeys do that. They are what gets sent over your Wi-Fi to the website for it to decide whether to let you in or not. So we dropped in a new term there, passkeys. What are passkeys? You may have heard of these. There's been quite a lot going on in the last couple of years promoting them. So let's talk about what they are. They're going to be the next generation of security features, and they're intended in time to replace passwords, but that's going to take a while. so many people are so used to passwords, they're comfortable with them, and they're not ready to make the jump into something that they don't yet understand, which is perfectly valid if it's someone's telling you, oh yeah, this is really clever, let's use this to get into your bank account. It's like, I don't think so. So that's quite a bit of skepticism for some people, and that's why we have presentations like this where we talk about what they are and how they work and how they can benefit you. So first thing to note is there's nothing to remember. Passkeys are generated in software, and there's no way you're going to be able to write one down on that little yellow sticky pad, even if it's a big yellow sticky pad. It's not something that you're going to be able to make a note of, so you don't remember anything. It's all stored on the computer. They're enabled with biometrics only, face, touch, and this is where it looks like to get into Zoom. If you see down at the bottom of the that little screen grab, there's a little red thumbprint and it's saying continue with Touch ID. Whenever I see that, I just tap my thumb, touch the fingerprint sensor, it recognizes it, and it will let me in. And they're also designed to be platform independent. Remember a few minutes ago, I was talking about it doesn't matter if you've got Apple, Google, Windows, Android. Passkeys were designed by a consortium of software engineers from all of those that came together and said, okay, this is how we're all going to do it and how we can all play nice with each other so that we can actually use different devices to get into all of our accounts as long as we follow the rules. So there is a specification for it. It's managed by called the FIDO Alliance, because everyone's got to have some kind of funny little acronym these days. And this is Fast Identity Online, is what that stands for. Who came up with it? I don't know. I guess he was on a break. I don't. And it is an international consortium. If you go to Google and look up the FIDO Alliance, you'll find all kinds of references to the big names. You've got your Google, Microsoft, Apple, your Facebooks, Amazon, lots of the big names all got in there, and also lots of smaller companies. They all participate so that they can be heard, and what they need to get these to be working software is heard. And they all agree on a specification, and then that specification is what they use to actually determine the format and the functionality of the passkeys. And just as an example, and I've done this in the past, if there's one website that is nothing but Apple, that would be iCloud.com. I have actually logged into it using a Chromebook, which is about as Google as you can get without any problems, because the passkeys that I have to my iCloud accounts are accessible through my Chromebook, because I've got other Apple devices and I can have them talk to each other nicely, and then they will let me in because I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. Yeah, I could get into my iCloud account because the passkey that it was looking for was accessible through my Chromebook. So Apple and Google playing nice is the point there. And you can use any hardware as long as you're conforming to, you've got the right passwords and passkeys set up, will let you in. And vice versa. You can get into a Gmail account from a MacBook using their browsers. Microsoft, they'll all play nice. And we can use these without having to have different setups for every single device that you've got. Oh, and I threw, yeah, all Windows. So we talked about that. We've got them on Apple Windows. Again, I do tend to get ahead of myself. I'm sorry about that. They are usually biometrics, but if you don't have a scanner and you don't have something, then you can go to a website and it will show you a QR code, and you can scan that on a phone that does have your passkey on it. And then using Bluetooth, your phone and your laptop can talk to each other, interchange information, and it will satisfy the requirements to let you into the website, unlock it, and away you go. So, but what are they really? So far, it's just sounds like a big complicated password thingy. They're not actually the same. They're very different because we go back to what we said. Passwords, they use something that you know. It's a password that if anybody knows it, it'll get you into that account. That's why you have the two-factor. But point there is anybody that knows it can get in. That's not necessarily good. Passkeys, metaphorically, it's like when you put a lock on your front door. Everybody that walks past your door, they can see there's a keyhole, there's a lock on the door, right? Door's locked, I can't get in because I don't have a key. When it comes to passkeys, only you have the key to the lock that you set up in software. So the software, it creates both the lock and the key at the same time. And that is what we call a key pair, one public and one private. The public one is what we're calling the lock in this metaphor. And the private part is the key. That's what you keep in your pocket. Like literally, like I've got keys in my pocket. You don't know what keys I've got. You can see my car has got a lock on the door. You don't have the keys, you can't get in. So your device, when it says you're going to a website, you want to install a pass key, it will install the lock on your web accounts. And you keep the key privately on your devices. So when you go to get into your account, the software between the website and your device, the key and the lock interact, and they mesh together and say, okay, we can turn the lock, we can open the door, we're in. And so again, metaphorically, that's how a passkey works. There's a public lock on the account, but only you have the key. Someone else could have a different key, it won't work. And that is I know that technically there's probably holes in that a mile wide, but I'm trying to give you an idea of how it works rather than give you a technically rigorous explanation. But that's a good way to think of them. You've got a public key, a public part and a private part. The lock is what is on the door. The key is what you have to unlock it. And in the interchange between the website and your device, the passkey never leaves your device. It's not sent over the internet. The website sends the public part that anybody can see to your device. The two interact on your phone or your tablet or desktop, satisfy that there is that they work together, the key fits the tumblers, if you will. And then it will allow the response to the website says, yep, it's good. You can unlock and let them in. So that's roughly how passkeys work. Very, very roughly. So who uses them? Most websites, they are getting to be more and more common these days. They are being promoted by a lot of people. I said that they're going to replace passwords, but it'll be slow going. I'd encourage you to look into it and start adopting them if you can.
Yeah.
This is just an example. Just one day I got something from, I use a company for a health savings account. They said, starting this fall, you will need a pass key to access your account. They didn't give me any choices. It's passkeys or nothing for them. They were a bit hard line. So, well, they've already got my money, so I guess I'd better go along with it. So now the only way I can get into that account is by using a passkey. Most websites, as this evolution carries on, is most websites will support them as a two-factor authentication method. So after your username and password, they'll ask, do you want to use a passkey, which is kind of redundant, but it gets the ball rolling and it gets people using them. And some of them, rather than being optional, they're requiring them. So this is just one example, and that's one that I had to get on board with because I wasn't given any more options. Do you have a question?
Set up. You have to do something to transfer the information to the new device.
Very good question. If it's a new device replacing an old one, and that old device is something you use with an existing account, like I said, Chrome or Firefox for your browser, or if it's an Apple device and you're already synchronizing things through the keychain, just by signing into that new device into your account, it'll automatically download them all for you. So
But each time you go into another account, it will download for that account.
No.
Or download all of it.
download all of them onto that one device. So if you've got a couple of hundred passwords on your iPhone, and let's say you buy an iPad, you sign the iPad into the same account as your phone is in, all of those hundreds of passwords and passkeys will download into your new iPad without having to do anything else. And they'll be there ready for you to use next time you look at it.
Yeah. The iPad, it had me lay the phone down and it copied everything from the phone. All my, everything, but if I had a Mac, I don't know that they used to do that with them, like a laptop.
What the phone and the iPad were doing would be it was using information on the old device via Bluetooth to transfer the information to your new device. And if you bought a new Mac, it would work just the same. And I know that because my son just got one. He set his new Mac down to his phone and it just transferred them. Once it's got enough to log you in, the Bluetooth is done, then it can bring it over the internet and your Wi-Fi. But the point is, you just need to, don't touch, just hands off, and it'll download it all for you. Okay, so then the next question is, how do I put a passkey on an account? And generally, it'll prompt you when you're creating an account. It'll say something like, do you want to use a passkey? If yes, just use your thumbprint or scan your face, and that's all you need to do. It'll follow the prompts. Or it might just say, hey, do you want to log in faster? And it might not even use the term passkeys. Some of them don't even use the term. So if you see something like this, this is from the New York Times. Down at the bottom, it says, continue with Google, continue with Apple. What those buttons are doing, without using the term, is they're going to set up a passkey and associate it with, see at the top, it's got an email address. The email address is your username, and then it will have either a Google passkey or an Apple passkey for you. But they don't use the term. They're doing it just quietly. You want to log in faster? Sure.
It's a unique passkey for you.
Yes. Each passkey pair is completely unique. You create them, and then the websites that you go to, every time you go to, it'll create a different one for you. You don't have one passkey. It's like, again, going with the lock analogy, you have a different lock and a different key for every door on every house that you've got, or even front door, back door, garage door. Each one of them can have a different lock and a different key. And it's only that one combination of lock and key that will open that particular door to let you in. Be it front door, back door, garage door. But you don't need to worry about all of that. It's all managed just by you identify yourself with your thumbprint, and you press the button or scan your face on your phone, and it will know which one to deploy for which website. Okay. Okay, so that's a very quick trip through passwords and passkeys. Before I open up for questions, I do want to mention that because of some of the things we've talked about and all of these things needing to be cross-platform, and this is for everybody listening at home as well, in the next couple of months, we're going to be starting to talk about setting up possibly a new special interest group to work on cross-platform issues. So you'll be hearing more about this in the coming weeks and months, and we hope that we'll be finding people that are interested in participating, because it can be an interesting puzzle to tackle to make sure that all of your devices can talk to each other and play nicely with each other. Okay, so yes, ma'am.
I have a desktop, excuse me, I have a desktop, no bioelectric, you know, I have to sign in. Passkey wouldn't work for me, but then,
Yes, they could. Your sign in to your desktop do you mean when you first power it up? That gets you into your user account on there. When you go to a website, it will probably, depending on what you have, what hardware you have, it'll probably ask you to authenticate again before it sends a password or a passkey to a website. But yeah, it's just because you have to use a code to get into it doesn't mean that you're locked out of this technology. For instance, this laptop right here, it's every time I power it up, I have to key in a password to get in the first time. After that, it will let me use my thumbprints. And it will ask me to authenticate every time I want to use a password or a passkey.
So it just, to me today, I think I was going to Canva. And it said, and I was on my desktop, which I don't have a camera and it said, you want to use passkey? And so I said, okay. And then it said, enter your 4-digit code. And when I did my 4-digit code, that was enough.
Yes, Mike.
Well, there's a site that you can go to that explains passkeys, probably a little bit more detail. It's on YouTube.
Oh.
It's called Ask. I just did a search.
Okay.
It's called Ask Leo Passkeys. And that will bring up 4 or 5, and you can either read it or have this guy talk to you. He's got it there both ways.
Yeah, I think that I read it one time, a year
Well, I
ago.
presented it.
Yeah, you presented it maybe 2 years ago or
Yeah.
something. So,
But instead of me explaining it, I used to.
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's way up there.
Yeah, it's way up there. I mean, it really talks about the technology and everything, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I've been trying to stay away from that.
It's
Thanks.
basically a passkey, either your fingerprint or your picture, your face being seen by a camera. Is that correct?
Not quite.
Are there others?
Let me talk about that again. To be able to use the passkey, you have to authenticate on your device. And that is what you use your thumbprint for.
But your face or the fingerprint is the passkey.
No. The passkey is a piece of software, a great big complicated text code that is stored, one part stored on the website, the other part stays stored on your computer. To get to it, you use your thumbprint on your face. So
would it be possible for you to go maybe to your iCloud account and show how the passcode comes up and how you access it?
sure. Actually, I've got a better example than that. I'm going to go to Lowe's.
Okay,
I think a lot of people here have probably got a Lowe's account. Can you let me know if I lose the share, please, Joe?
Let's see if he loses his share. We're okay right now.
That's because I haven't done anything yet. Okay. Okay, so. Okay, well, first thing I'm going to have to do is log out. Let's see. There it is. Okay, so just going to Lowe's, says to sign in. Okay, so there's my email address. I'll just go to continue. And somehow I've managed to create 2 passkeys on this one, but you'll see how you see the little red fingerprint says Touch ID. I just touch the sensor.
Or
Done.
options.
Oh, were you talking about, maybe I misunderstood your question.
I was wondering for the passcode to come up and then the yellow thing you click on to activate it.
I'm not following you. That's not how passkeys
But
work.
when a passcode comes up, you have to accept it.
Oh, you're talking about for the 2-factor? Oh, misunderstood. I thought we talked about passkeys.
Okay,
Okay. Okay, let's do something else then. Okay.
under Lowe's, it has more options beyond the fingerprint.
You have a touch screen?
No.
Nope,
He just did his, he has a
you got. Fingerprint.
fingerprint, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so signing in again. Okay, so
Now, when this pops up, it has more options.
oh, yes, okay. Okay, this is if you want to scan a QR code,
Yeah,
that is something. So if I've got my passkey on my phone, I'll try this. And we're going way off script now, so I wasn't planning to do this, so I hope it works. I'm just going to scan this from, it says sign in with the passkey. So phone says it's connecting, this is connecting. And now I can use the passkey that's on my phone to get in here. I'll just
So could
tap
that
the
be
button.
with the 2 options with your email? Would one be the fingerprint and one be the QR code?
No, the QR code is for if the device you're working with doesn't have the passkey. So if I've got all of my credentials on my phone, I can still use somebody else's computer to get into my accounts. Okay. Okay, I think I looked away, it didn't recognize me, but now it's looking for a password here. So I'll click this one. And now this is where it's saying that it will send me a text message. So this is like the old school text message. So these are all available on this website. And I think I kind of got off track when I tried to use the passkey because I do already have it on here. So I was kind of like going 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
So you can do it
Yes,
easily there.
yes,
We're
it-
used to using it with our students on a device that doesn't have their pass key, so we use the QR code. It's a little bit different when you're
Yeah.
doing.
So yeah, here's the code that I just got texted to me that my phone could get. It will fill that in, and now it will let me in using the text message I just got rather than using the pass key. So- okay. So okay.
Okay,
So
we do have a couple questions on chat.
okay.
Says years ago, I was taught to never log in with Facebook, Gmail, etc. Are you saying to use Google or Apple different from that?
I'm not sure you understand the question completely, but if they're saying that you shouldn't use an email address, that's a possibility. When you create an account, you generally have to have some way that you can be reached, be it by text message or email, but that email address doesn't have to be your
ID,
username, correct? Your identifier.
ID.
Mhm. So you can create something else, just something you'll remember, but not necessarily an email address. And there is also something else that you can use in the Apple world. It's called Hide My Email. It will create bogus emails that will be forwarded to you. So you can use them, and then if you decide you never want to use it again, just delete it without affecting your actual email. And if that website were to send you a message to that bogus email, it would be forwarded to your main email, and you would still receive it. Okay, you have another one there, Joe?
They're complicated.
Oh,
Well, let's take questions from the group here if they've got questions.
okay. Is Janet?
Bill, if you could go back one slide.
This one?
If I see this sometimes. And I just always have passwords, so I say continue, but if I would choose. Continue with Apple, what would happen? Would it automatically do a pass key, or do I have to set something up ahead of time?
No, it will create the passkey for you, and it
Okay.
will prompt you what you need to do.
Okay,
In fact, at its simplest, it'll just say, okay, just use your fingerprints or your Face ID, and that's all you do. And then in the future, it will prompt you to log in with a passkey, and then you'll need to do the same, fingerprints or Face ID,
okay.
and that's all.
Next
Yeah.
time I
Mhm.
see that choice.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid to choose one because I didn't know what would happen.
Okay. Any other questions?
If you've got the password app set up, sometimes you get pop-ups like kind of on top of each other. If you start into one of these and then that pops up because you've already got a password set up in the app, do you need to go through and delete things that are in the password app first? Is it gonna be confusion?
No,
Try to sign in.
you don't need to delete anything, because when you've got the different levels or different features set up, like if you can have an account where you've got a password and an authenticator code and a passkey, and depending on which way you're going in, you can just choose which one you want to use. They're all equally valid. that's because we've got a lot of legacy information with passwords that are already in place. If all the websites tomorrow said, right, no one's using passwords ever again, there'd be chaos. So we can't do that. So you have to allow the existing methods of logging in stay there, and then over time you'll kind of see them fade away, I think.
Yeah, so that Canva account that I went into, I have a password for it, but when it said passkey, I just clicked passkey. And then it prompted me to put my 4-digit passcode in. I could have chosen password, and then I would have had to have added my password for that account.
So does it just, the window that popped up with the password just falls?
It
Back
just
around,
had,
or
yeah,
you-
it just had, or you want passkey, you want password or passkey? And I chose this time passkey.
Sometimes I'm just moving too fast.
Yeah.
It's a window that pops up, so.
Yeah, and when we looked at the Lowe's website, there was, as Joe pointed out, something where if you don't move too fast and look at what's on the screen, it will tell you, do you want to try other options? And what the other options are could be a passkey or a password, depending on what they do want to default to. So,
Then you put a passcode in.
Yeah, I put my desktop passcode to get into my account, into my desktop.
Yep. Is that your Windows Hello
It's my
code?
Windows, yeah.
So that's authenticating on the device to unlock the password store, so its contents can be used to log into web accounts.
Yeah, but it used it for the passkey, let it know that I could use the
Yeah,
passkey,
mhm.
so. Do you have a question?
Well, I have a window, so continue with Google, would I click that instead of continue with Apple? Is Apple for a Mac, or I guess I'm confused the difference between continue with Google and continue with Apple.
Yeah, if you've already got a Gmail account, for example, then I'd say go with Google. If you've got an Apple device, you're probably better off going that way just to stay in there. But if you've only got a Windows device, I think you could use either. There's no real preference.
And then to set up the biometrics, where do you do that at?
It's whatever you do on your device for like thumbprints. On a phone, if it would be like it'll scan your face, you just smile. Or on a laptop, I've got the sensor built in. I just put my thumb on the sensor.
Oh, do you have to have a computer with a sensor to do your thumbprint?
Yes. If you don't, then it will just prompt you to use whatever code you use to log in, like Brookie was just saying. So if you've got a 4-digit code that you use to log into your Windows computer, it would use it.
Yeah, so when you turn on your computer, don't you have to put in,
Yeah, a
Yeah.
code.
that's the code you use
Okay.
when it goes for passkey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I don't have a camera or a thumbprint, so it knows that and just asks for my
I
passcode.
got you. I would think the thumbprint, that's kind of relatively new on computers, or no? No.
It's been around for quite a few years now.
Oh, quite a few years.
Yes.
You can buy a device that will, you plug in
Oh.
to the.
Also true. Yep.
Put
Mhm.
thumbprint on it.
Yes.
On laptops than desktops, though.
Yeah, that's a desktop.
I would think yes. Mhm. But like we just said, you can buy like USB devices where you just plug them in and use them to read your thumbprints. Okay.
Any other questions back
Yes.
the computer? No? Okay.
Sort of related, I'm looking at my passwords app right now.
Mhm.
And I have a passkey, but I also have 59 of the strong passwords that I created, that sort of thing. But there's also a section called security. And it looks like these are ones that are flagged for possible being easy to guess or maybe appeared in a data leak from a website.
Yep.
So should we look at that part of our app and maybe go in and try to create a passkey or something?
It would, if it's looking at the passwords, and the most usual one is it will flag something as you've used this password somewhere else. So as I said early on, if it's just for your Netflix account, you might not care so much. If you're using the same password on your bank account, go to the bank account and change that one. So anything to do with money, I would very highly recommend only have one password for that one account that's completely unique that you don't reuse anywhere else. And the longer and more complicated, the better, because it's your money. It's your checking account. It could be your retirement. It could be your social security. So we need to make sure that that is not easily guessed because someone found out what you used for your Netflix account. Okay, well, I hope that all made sense, and I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you'll start looking into it. Thank you.
Appreciate you all coming out tonight, and next month it will be about our new management system.